office phone and my cell phone, and you can text me, right? So put this in your phone, because if you do not show up to lab, if something like that happens, right, you need to contact me as soon as possible. So if it's easier for you to call or text, or sometimes I'm going to ask you to call me, right, or ask if I can call you, send me your number, so that it's still not big enough.
That one, the office phone, that's the Google?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so that's not the one that's in the directory. If you call the one that's in the directory, it tells you to call this number. So it's 504-300-9851. Just made my son memorize it. No, that's yours to keep.
Just the manual.
Yeah, just the manual is for me. Yep, you can obviously write on your syllabus sheet. That's for you. And you don't have to, right? It's on Canvas, but you know, this is the important stuff you usually want to have access to in multiple places, right? Including your phone. So my son got on the wrong bus the first day of school to come home. Yeah. So we memorized Mommy's last name, because I did teach him my name when he was like 4 years old, my first name. So, you know, this is important stuff, y'all. Teach your kid your actual name, in case, you know, something like that happens. Granted, they knew where my kid was, but I didn't. I was freaked out. So, and we just moved, so he did know our old address, but we've now been taking care of the new address. You said it about 1,000 times on Monday night. And he knows the Google number. All right. So that's the core information. For my actual schedule, it's under the syllabus module, or the syllabus button here. And so again, my contact information, this is my schedule that's on the door, as you can see, and as you know, a lot of us are hoofing it from building 2 over here today for class. Normally I would have office hours tomorrow morning, but my husband is having surgery. So this is the one exception, the one time when the phone goes off today. If it happens to go off during this lab, I'm going to stop and I'm going to answer it, because they're going to call and tell me what time my husband's surgery is tomorrow. So this is the one exception where I won't be here tomorrow, okay? Because I will be busy with that. Otherwise, I would normally be here. You can see most of my office hours are in the morning. I'm going to try and stick to my office hours for correspondence with students. In other words, that's pretty much when I'm going to answer your emails. That's when I'll call you, things like that. But, you know, if you have classes, or you're busy, or you work, I don't have a problem calling you back in the evening. I don't have a problem if you call me in the evening. After 10 o'clock, though, I'm not going to answer the phone. The phone won't make any noise as it goes to sleep, because typically that's what I should be doing very soon after 10 o'clock, because I have to get up very early, right, because I have a 9-year-old son that has to get off to school, and I have to usually come here, and this is why I usually teach the 8 o'clock in the early morning labs and classes like that, because I've got a kid, so I'm up early anyways. Not that I really want to be, right, but I made that silly choice 9 years ago to be a mom. So I have responsibilities in the AM. I also have an online class, but our 210 book has changed, so I'm making changes to my materials. I'm teaching genetics for the first time since 2009, so I've got a lot of prep work. So outside of my office hours in the past, students would email me and you'd be like, oh my God, she emailed me right back. That's probably not going to happen this semester, or text you right back, because I'm turning off the phone and the email when I'm working on those materials. It's too distracting, right? I can't get my work done. But I will be, of course, have all that on during my office hours, right? So if you call during office hours, you will get me, right? Unless I'm with another student, and I'll answer the phone and say, I'm with another student, can I call you back, right? Make sense? Okay. And so that's my schedule. Whenever you're emailing me or texting me, the first time you text me a particular day, you need to tell me who you are and what class of mine you're in, right? I'm not going to add you to my address book unless you're a super texter. You'll know that because when I answer the phone, I'll know your name because you're in my address book. But I'm going to put DCC student at the end of the semester. I'm going to delete you, right? Most of you I won't add, right? So you need to, right, if you're starting a new text with me, we're texting back and forth, right? Once we've had that initial text of, you know, I'm in your Wednesday lab, my name is so-and-so, then, you know, you don't have to keep repeating that, right? But if, you know, a week later you go to text me again, I don't save that. So you got to say what lab and what class again, right? For your email, you got a welcome email from me. You could actually save that in your email, right? And that was from Canvas, so it identifies who you are and what class I'm in. So you don't ever have to worry about that if you recycle that email. Just change the subject on it, right? Makes it really easy. And it's going to save it in both places for both of us, both Canvas and your email that you use. The other thing is make sure you check Lola and you know what your preferred email is, right? Because if you didn't get that email from me, probably you didn't check your email or you didn't check the correct email. You can't change this. When you pick this when you registered for Delgado, this is it. That's the email address that you're responsible to check as a student. That's where all Delgado correspondence is going. Yeah, this is our lab in Canvas. Did you guys not see it? Did I not? I turned it on. When did you add the class? You were on my roll. Everybody was on my roll. Okay, we'll figure that out after then. Yeah, oh, you know what? If you go to courses, right, click all courses because you might not have marked it as a favorite or something. Yeah. Yeah. It's a system. They all have their pros and cons, right?
It does the thing where if you click help and then email your instructor, it'll send it, if it's through Canvas, it sends it through the course and who you are to...
You're asking me or telling me?
I don't know.
Okay. I honestly don't know, but I do know if you go to your inbox, right, and you click compose and you choose the course and all of that, it will go to me. But that help that she's talking about should also work. Sometimes I can't push it, but also I'm not in my student view, so it's going to give me more options than you guys have. So let's see, we'll go here and go to student view. I don't usually bother with student view because it's not all that different from my view. And probably, oh, no, I can just barely click on it. Right, so let's see what happens. It might not, oh yeah, see, it automatically puts the class in, right, and it'll automatically go to me. That's cool. Another option for you guys that's pretty easy to find and use. And it gets sent to my regular email as well as it's in Canvas. So, and I can reply either place. But I ask that, you know, if you just start in Canvas, like I said, it takes care of the problem of who and what. If you text me and you don't say who and what class, you're going to get back maybe the text that says who what. The who is who are you and the what is what class. Right? If I'm nice. If I'm not responding, you might want to look back and go, oh crap, I didn't tell her who I am and what class I'm in. She can't answer my question, or she won't because I didn't follow protocol. Right? I have too many students. I mean, like I said, some of you guys I will know. Right? Every semester I have at least 2 or 3 super texters. It's quite all right, right? But I just make it easier for both of us. I just add you to my address book. Then I delete you at the end of the semester. Okay, so this actual syllabus. So let's go to that. So I have it linked right here as well. And as you can see by the title, it has the calendar. You can view it right in Canvas, or you can open it up in the PDF. Usually I open it and then I save it, but I already have this saved on my desktop. I'm just doing this so you guys know how to do these things. Yeah, it's locked. Thanks. He's heading out, right?
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
What's his last name?
Craig, what's his last name? Okay, I'll tell you in a second.
I'm gonna search his back.
Yeah, no, I have it. I should know his last name. He's a prior student, but
He's kind
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. I have to leave student view to get to attendance. Oh, I know Craig's last name. He hasn't even done. Right there, Craig Yearowithin.
Nice.
Ice.
Have the board and write it out.
Okay.
She pulled it up. Get his name. She pulled it up. Get his name.
No, he went to the bathroom to give his injection, and then. Yeah, he is my student. Yeah, he's a prior student too. Here, can we spell it out for you? It's. You can see it. You don't have old man disease. It's Craig right there. I know.
Okay.
E. It's Craig. Eisenberg. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you. And then normally I would go to File, right, Save As, save it in a particular place on my computer. I don't know if we need to unlock it. Huh? Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, you heard he was... That's why I was like, if you're doing epinephrine, you're not staying in my class. I should have hit the button. I don't know why I didn't hit the button. I feel bad I didn't hit the button. No, but I know he's an asthmatic. He's never had an episode in my class before. But he is a prior student, so I did know he was an asthmatic, but he's never had an episode. So yeah, I'm not practiced. I haven't had to deal with an asthmatic in a really long time. I should have pushed the button, and I'm really mad at myself. I didn't push the button and get them to come help him sooner. He shouldn't have. Yeah, but I should have known from the way he was breathing he was not going to be able to do it. I don't. Okay. Yeah, he's okay. He's okay. I should have helped him. Yeah. Yeah. I still feel bad I didn't help him. But, you know. I thought he had an EpiPen. Most people who do epinephrine have an... No, he had a syringe and and that breathing like that, there was no way he was going to maneuver that. I thought he had an EpiPen. I didn't see what he took. Yeah. Yeah, but you know what, y'all? Some people can't afford EpiPens. They're expensive. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So we got the basic information. I'm not going to go through this syllabus because we're going to do a lab today, and we're already running behind. So the important stuff you guys need to know, does everybody know about the FN grade being back? Raise your hand if you do not know. Okay. So FN means that if you do not attend, which isn't the case, I got you on the roll for today, but for any of your other classes, if you don't show up in the first 2 weeks, they're going to probably drop you. Good luck trying to get back in. So if you really want to be in school, go to your classes this week. Okay? Because if you don't attend at all, even if you contact your instructor, they're going to drop you. And you have to beg to get back in, or they're going to tell you to do second start. Okay? They're getting real strict on this. If they don't drop you, right, you don't attend, you fail the class, you will get an FN for non-attendance or non-participation. This will affect you financially, especially if you get financial aid. This is not something you want on your transcript, period. You don't want an F anyways. So that's the other important date. Anyone know what the drop date is? It is November 2nd. Right? Yeah, I know, it's like insanely late. You basically can take the whole course and then decide, I don't want to do this. You don't get your money back, though.
The drop date for the full tuition refund is like
was yesterday.
Okay.
Or something like that, yeah.
And it's like 50% on top.
Yeah. Add drop, as I said earlier, you must have came in late. Add drop usually ends the first 2 days, but they may have extended it because they've extended registration to Friday. So I don't know. If you want to try to change something, do it today. Past today, I guarantee you they're probably going to tell you no, because they're trying to wrap this up. All right. So as I said, The lab manual is a custom, so those are basically all the exercises we're going to do, and that's it. Maybe a few supplemental ones. But we're not obviously going to go in order, right? We're going to hop around, so you have the schedule. I also posted for convenience for my students at the end, right? You have the actual schedule. So you'll notice that this lab is taught on Wednesdays and mainly on Tuesday. You guys are the only Wednesday lab. Saturday didn't make. There was only one student. So for the most part, you guys are the end of the week for micro lab. Right, so this is today, the 17th. But after fall holiday, which thank you, Mom, for having me in October. That's my birthday. I always get it off. Usually, anyways. Very rarely does it not fall during fall holiday. So we won't, my Tuesday lab won't meet. You guys will be the first lab of the week instead. Right? So if you miss lab, actually, after October, you could potentially come the next week to Tuesday lab. Right? Where they could come to this lab, which actually is going to be no now because it's full, as you can see. So you really need to attend lab. Like I said, if you miss, you need to contact me ASAP so we can figure out what we're going to do about it. Because sometimes you're going to have to come in this lab and do what everyone else did.
So we don't miss a class during the fall holiday. 'Cause it's in between.
Right. We don't miss the fall holiday. We don't actually have a holiday for Wednesday sections. Because, oh, we do. Thanksgiving. We get the 23rd right before Thanksgiving. So we do get a holiday. And then we have finals. And our final is going to be Monday the 5th at 11 a.m. In here, of course. I've also posted the final exam schedule for all your other classes. Right? That's part of this document you have, and the academic calendar for those important dates like what we talked about with the drop date. Right? November 2nd. Those no paper towels in that, they're on the lab benches and also back there next to the sink. Do you need a tissue?
Sorry, yeah. It's fine.
It's okay. I usually keep tissues in here, but somebody took my stash. Otherwise, I'd give you a tissue. Yeah, it's done. I need to replace it. I have bad allergies, so I usually have tissues. Everywhere. Like in every room in my house. Except maybe the kitchen. Okay, so the other important stuff that most students want to know about in their syllabus is what? You tell me. What did I not go over that you want to know? Exam dates are on the schedule, right? So at midterm, exam 1, and then the final. What else do you want to know?
It's in the syllabus. It's like in the middle. Okay, so it just says exam 1, but it's the same. It's midterm exam 1.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Did you grab one from there? Did you?
Some of them don't have the calendar.
Don't have it.
No, it's not in the back. It's in the middle somewhere.
This one has it.
Oh.
No. Not small enough. This one.
Ah, I print the wrong document?
Some of them have it. Yeah, there's one over there.
But it's online. And if you need me to, I'll print more. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
You can look at mine if you want to.
Yeah.
You can look at mine.
I
Yep.
can look at it on the house.
Yep. Other than when the exam is.
Is it just the one midterm exam and then the final?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, all the other things you get graded on assessment and how many points do they work, right? So you're going to do your first homework assignment mainly in class today, but if you don't finish it, you need to finish it up because I will check it next week. And then you'll notice you have a Lab 2 packet. You're always going to do homework before lab. That's how you're going to prepare for lab before you come to lab each time, which is important for safety. It's also important for time management. And, I mean, that's the way lab is supposed to run, right? You're supposed to come in with a plan, right? And do that plan. So, and I'll talk more specifics about the homework handouts when we get to that. But they're worth 5 points apiece. There'll be about 13 of them throughout the semester, so if you miss one, it's no big deal because you're going to get to drop about 3, as long as we don't have any weather emergencies or anything like that. I should have let you go because I can usually remember this stuff. It'll come back to you. Okay, quizzes, 10 points apiece. Again, we'll have more than 10. But the top 10 scores will count for a total of 100 points. It's a total of 50 points, of course, 5 times 10 for your homeworks. No, you'll have a quiz every single day. Starting next week. First 15 minutes of lab, right? So again, I'm going to be running here so I'm on time. The rest of you guys, right? And I'll end on time. I can walk fast. I just walk straight back. I didn't do the covered walkway. That gets too crowded. I did this one. Yeah. That is a trick. I can walk really fast, though. I run even faster, but today I couldn't do it. So that's why I have the backpack. Oh, it's okay. I don't care. All right, so your second half of the semester, you're going to be given an unknown organism. I know what it is, you don't. And you got to figure out what it is. You'll do a detailed lab report on that. But it's not like the crazy ones you have to do for like chemistry and stuff like that. This is kind of a fill-in-the-blank one. Fill in all your data, answer all the questions. But it's a monster, right? You'll work on it over several labs, and it's worth 50 points because it's a substantial amount of material. Each one of the exams, the practical and midterm and final exams, are 100 points apiece, for a total of 400 points in this course. I do give a bonus quiz, and I do have some bonus on the exams. But again, do your work, and you won't need the bonus, right? No exams will be dropped. There's no makeups, but you know how makeups go, right? For this lab, though, there's a lot for me to set up. So this is one of those ones where, like, I really don't want you to come sick, right? And if you're really sick, don't come, but contact me right away so we can figure out what we're going to do about the exam, right? Any students with disabilities need extra time, please contact me this week so we can make arrangements accordingly, right? Especially with quizzes, because, you know, next week, first quiz. All the rest of it is pretty straightforward stuff, but please read over it. And then the schedule. Any other questions? Yep, it'll come right from that handout you have in front of you. Yep. From the handout, and also what we do in class.
So you're saying like the PowerPoint won't be up until after the lab's already...
Right. The one for today is already up.
Okay.
But like next week, I won't give it to you before class. I'll turn it on during class, so you'll have it after class. Make sense? Okay. So... all right, so the next thing we're going to go over is safety. So I actually have a PowerPoint, unfortunately not with pretty pictures yet, for safety, because we've got a lot of changes to safety. And as you can see, it's one page, and it's like microscopic, so we could fit it to one page front and back. But you also have a copy, and you have access to this PowerPoint online. And I'm going to read through this word for word. So there's one attached to your syllabus, but there's one that's separate. I need you to find the one that's separate, because that's the one you're going to fill out and give to me, and we're going to keep in lab. And so, for instance, like on Craig's, I'll write in big, huge letters, asthmatic. Put a sticker on it, yeah. So our section number is 104. Right, the class is 212. My name is Erica Burns. You should know your name. Today's date's the 17th. And just so that if something happens like with Craig, you know, I can give them their emergency contact information, because as you know, most people don't even update this stuff in Lola, and it's much easier if when they show up I can give them this information, which I couldn't for Craig today because he hasn't filled it out. Yet. He will before he's let back in this lab. So the other thing I didn't think of, on that back form where it's asking for emergency contact person, their relationship to you, and their phone number, please also put your name in big, huge letters on that side of the form, because I'm actually going to put that side up in my binder that we keep in lab. Our old forms had your name at the top and the bottom of the, so I kind of forgot. So on the back of that sheet where you're writing your emergency contact, also put your name in big, huge letters. Yeah. Yeah, front and back. The front is for your signature, you know. Is it okay if I start talking while you guys are still working on that? Okay. All right. So the general safety, and so this sheet for all the biology labs is the same. I will add this link to our Canvas as well. This is for the Delgado alert system. I highly suggest that you sign up for that so you get text and emails. It's really helpful. You'll know when that system is being alerted to if you're in the cubicle area, because all the phones start ringing at the same time. So we know there's some announcement. So this is something I think you have to update once a year, but you know, go ahead and make sure your stuff is up to date, right? And I'll make it easy for you guys where I'll actually have it as a link in Canvas. Remind you guys about that. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to get up and get out if the fire alarm sounds. We're not going to go run into the closet to get our stuff. We're going to take our beautiful bodies and run out of this building. I will be the last one to leave. If the Bunsen burners happen to be running, we need to turn those off. I'll turn off the main shut-off valve over there, right? I'm not going to the closet to grab my stuff, right? I will grab our class roll, and we'll either meet in Building 7 if it's raining, right, which is the Library Student Resource Center, and I'll have a designated spot there, and I'll put a picture there to help us by our door, by the emergency button. And if it's not raining, we'll go out to the very front sidewalk by one of the trees, and I'll designate one for us by our next lab period. Walk. We want to get away from this building, right, because there's gas in this building, it could explode. We'll let Darwin take care of the rest of the idiots who stand next to the building. We will not re-enter until one of those beautiful gentlemen in the uniform say it's okay to do so, that the building is clear. So in the event of electrical power loss, since most of us aren't going to want to use our phones, right, because we don't want to get them contaminated, unless you have a life-proof case you can spray down with Lysol, right, leave your phone in your bags, right, you don't need it. I have a flashlight up front. Right, I always check this, make sure that it's working. But usually we'll have the lab door open, right, because we need to, because gas, right, the fumes we want to vent to the outside. And the emergency lighting does come on in the hallway. We'll stand in the hallway until we figure out what's going on and what we're going to do about it. Okay? Shoes. Shoes are a big, huge thing in microbiology lab. They have to completely cover the entire top of your foot. Right, so sneakers are your best bet. They cannot have any holes in it. You can't wear ventilated Crocs with socks. Doesn't cut it in this class, right? You got to completely cover. So those are a no, 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 right? The other ones, like they say closed-toed shoes, right? For us, it's completely covered shoes, right? So it's mentioned again in our more detailed section for microbiology. The other thing, too, is that for this class, you must wear a long skirt or long pants that can completely cover your legs. I'm never going to see any skin on your legs from this day forward, right? Starting next week, exam days, every single day that we meet in this room. You will be completely covered. Make sense? If you are going to have trouble with this, and some of us do, and sometimes I come dressed to work and I want to wear my fancy shoes and show off my pedicure, and then I realize I have lab prep work to do, I have a pair of sneakers I keep in the closet and a pair of socks in my car. Throw a pair of sneakers and a pair of socks and a pair of pants in the trunk of your car today, for that day that you forget that you have lab. Because starting next week, I'm going to stand at the door, and if you're not dressed properly, you're not coming in.
Did you say long sleeves or short?
Nope. I'm going to cover the sleeves in a moment. We're going to take care of that with something else. Hair's got to be pulled back, right? For me, it's just the top, right? The rest doesn't come forward into my face. A student of mine donated a whole stack of elastic bands. If you take one, it'll be yours. We'll store it in the lab for you. Okay? But again, starting next week, pull back your hair so you get in the habit of always doing that before class. Make sense? Okay. And the only person who's ever burnt their hair was a guy. Burnt the top of his head. He had long hair on the top, bent over, patted it out. It was all good, a little singy. Smelled bad. But, you know, we don't want that to happen. So, no chewing gum, no e-cigarettes, no drinking. You notice I don't have a water bottle. It's driving me crazy, right? I'm even following the rules this semester. So I have really bad cotton mouth right now. It's horrible, but I'm dealing with it, right? If you need a drink of water, right, you can wash your hands and you can get into any of your stuff in the closet, right? Or you can go to one of the water fountains. But what do you have to do before you leave this room? Wash your hands. Right? Always wash your hands. Again, as most of you guys, I cautioned you as you were walking in, don't ever put anything on these lab benches you don't know if the person before you cleaned up. Right? Don't put any of your personal belongings that you're worried about getting contaminated on these lab benches. You have your little cubbies, right? If you've got to have that phone nearby, right? Or any other items that you're worried about. Otherwise, we have the closet for all your bags and stuff like that. We're never going to store anything underneath these lab benches. We don't have enough space, and if we do have a spill, it could still get on it, right? And then you have to throw out your backpack. And I don't know, I mean, I saw some Vera Bradleys and really expensive, nice things go into that closet. So I think we don't want to have to throw them away, right? I keep mine up front right here. Because we don't work over here. So, I'm going to try and get us some cubbies installed in there. But we're doing the best we can right now with what we've got. So this is a pretty a no-brainer, but obviously people do it in other classes. We don't hang anything on our lab benches. Your lab coats that you're going to purchase, you're going to fold up and put on your seat if you need to run to the bathroom. Don't hang it on your stool. Okay. It'll get caught up and torn. Someone will walk by and rip it in half, and then you have to buy a new one because you didn't put it away properly before leaving the room. And then, of course, if you take your lab coat off, what do you have to do before you leave the room? Wash your hands. I have my scary sign over there to try and, get you guys to wash your hands. So what do we mean by PPE? Personal protective equipment. For this lab, you'll be required to wear and purchase a lab coat from the bookstore. It's about $5. It's disposable. It'll be stored in the lab. It'll never leave the lab. It'll be thrown away at the end of the semester. We switched over from goggles to safety glasses. So those two can be purchased at the bookstore. All total, it should only cost you about $11. They will be stored in the lab in your own little baggie. And at the end of the semester, if you want, you can clean those and take them with you.
If you wear regular glasses?
You still have to wear safety glasses on top of your regular glasses. Unless you have prescription safety glasses, which some people do, you still have to wear the safety glasses over your glasses. Yeah, when you go into the bookstore, in that area, they actually have a large and medium lab coat. You can try it on and see which size you need. And then you go to the actual cashier and you say, I need the microbiology lab coat. They'll ask you what size, and they'll give it to you, and the safety glasses at the checkout. I didn't get a chance because of the rain yesterday to check, but the safety glasses should be in. And I'll check after class to make sure. I would like to say yes, but please just buy the ones over there.
How much are they?
They're only like $5.
I just have something that I haven't even used that I'm still in the bag.
If they're still in the bag, bring them still in the bag, and we'll keep the bag in lab. So if my lab prep person comes by and says, oh, those are not the standard glasses, we can say, look, they are safety glasses, and she can check them out. So if you still have it in the container, so we can check that they are the right kind, then yeah. Okay, that's cool. All right, right now we really just want to make sure they have the sides. They're supposed to be impact resistant. She wants them to be impact resistant. When I put in my risk assessment, I will be able to eliminate that one thing because we don't need impact. Nothing's going to come flying at us. Right. Okay, so not like that, but we do need to protect our eyes. Obviously it's on here because some idiot did it. Don't stick anything to an electric outlet that you're not supposed to stick into an electrical outlet. Right? Plugs only. When we carry our microscopes, you'll see I already have all our microscopes out except for the first lab bench. You guys are going to be using the cabinet. Your microscopes are in there, and we'll assign microscopes next week when we use them. You're going to carry them with 2 hands, one on the arm, one on the base. I'll demonstrate this, right? You guys will watch my video for homework as well. We don't have any models in this lab. What they're saying with this one is the edge of our workbenches, all lab benches, you see how it has a raised edge? That's so that no spills, so that small spills don't end up on you. Large spills will spill over that, but I mean, it takes a lot. That's why that's there, but you need to make sure when you set down your microscope you don't set it on the edge because then it could topple over. And these are expensive items and you don't want that to happen. And also some of the procedures that we do, you don't want to be on the edge because you could break your slides and then you have to start over. So I'll warn you guys and remind you guys about the edge and you'll be like, why is she saying that? Because inevitably one student each class period breaks a glass slide because they had it on the edge. So don't open any containers unless directed to do so by your instructor. Do not taste or sniff chemicals. Do not bring chemicals into contact with your eyes, nose, or mouth. Do not mix chemicals unless directed to do so by your instructor. Do not use chemicals from unlabeled containers. Like we even have to label water. If we put water in a beaker, we have to label it water. Which right now, I'm surprised Ms. Paula hasn't said anything because those blue bottles are water bottles and they do not have labels on them. So that will be fixed very shortly. But that carboy right there is deionized water. This is filtered water so that the impurities that are in the normal water don't mess up our stains. Right? So that's what you guys will use when you rinse your slides for staining. And we ask that students refill those for the next class if they're empty. From that carboy, not the sink. You notice I'll have a bag over that. Those faucets leak and flood the entire lab bench over there. So we don't use those faucets. We only use the one in the back, which also will flood the back sometimes. And as you can see, it won't turn off, which is also why the paper towels are on a rack. We don't use the sinks right in between the lab benches, as you can see, because we use those for storage, and also because they'll flood the entire lab bench. They came and actually looked at them, and they're trying to order the fittings to actually try and fix my sinks finally. We'll see. So, it gets a little crowded, right, at the end of the lab when everyone's trying to wash their hands. We don't really dissect anything. But like I said, this is a general lab. Obviously, don't do anything unauthorized, right? Don't play around in the lab. Report any incident or injury to your instructor. It's going to happen, right? We're going to burn ourselves. Hopefully not, but it does, right? You're going to cut yourself. You got to let me know. I got to fill out an incident report. We have a first aid kit, and if it's serious, we got to push the button, and campus police and the medical guy, you'll get to see them again. Hopefully not. Right? We started out day one already with the fun here. The eye wash station is in the back. It also is not working properly or sanitary right now, so you'll notice there's a bottle behind that. That bottle, I'm going to ask Paula for another one, because technically if you get it in both eyes, we need 2 bottles. And you need to keep your eyes open, and you need to just tip your head back, and you need to just pour the water into your eyeballs. The whole thing, both of them, right? And technically that's really not enough for microbiology. You should run it in water for like 5 minutes or something crazy like that. So we're going to try and get that fixed, but we're all going to be wearing our safety glasses, right? Because they're much more comfortable than goggles, so we're not going to have to worry about this, right? No one's going to get anything in their eyes. Oh, I can print and it's online, but thank you. You put it back in the pile. Spills happen in this lab as well, right? Just let me know, and we'll clean it up together. Don't ever clean up a spill on your own. Don't ever clean up broken glass on your own, right? Call me over. We'll take care of it together, okay? All broken glass and all our used slides will go in the glass disposal box. You see it there in the back with the green on it. Nothing else except glass goes in that box. No paper towels, no gloves, nothing but glass. Okay? Return supplies from where you got them. I'm going to go over where the supplies are that you guys will be accessing throughout the lab. In a moment, I'll walk around the room. Place lab stools under the your lab bench, right? So when you're done for the day, or you need to push it in. This room, as you can see, is really small. I really don't want to walk around the room pushing in chairs when you leave. Please do that, right? Makes it much easier during cleanup, too. We're not tripping over your stools. So, you know, I understand, I've read, I agree to follow these rules, as well as any additional rules that are given to you throughout the semester in your lab manual or handouts that we give you. It's your responsibility to follow these, right, in a safe manner during lab. You're agreeing to this by writing your name and signing it. We're going to go over chemical stuff at the end of this. If you have a medical condition, right, I already knew about Craig's. It's the first time I've had to deal with it, though. Please let me know so that we know what we need to do and how we need to alert emergency personnel. I would prefer if you would write it down on this sheet that you guys have that I'll keep in our binder that will be in the lab. So even if I'm not here and you have a substitute, which if I'm not here, unless something happened to me right before lab, you will have a substitute teacher, right? We don't ever cancel labs unless we absolutely cannot get it covered, or, you know, there's weather that keeps us from coming to school, right? But you're not going to not have lab because something happened to me. Somebody will come here, unless literally it happened like walking to class. Then they probably won't be able to find somebody that fast. But in case someone else other than me, right, all the other lab instructors know all the safety contracts are in there, but, you know, they might get freaked out, right? You might want to assist them or remind them, hey, all the important information is in our yellow folder. We are the yellow folder group. And it's in that cabinet that you see there with the emergency signals and the folders. And it even lists my name, our class, and our time, and what color folder we are. So it'll be highlighted for people with conditions with little quick tabs so that we can give that to emergency personnel and assist them to assist anybody who's having difficulty. If you do not want to write down, please at least write yes and let me know confidentially so I can let the lab prep person know also confidentially. Miss Paula that you saw that came by, who's also our safety officer, she's usually always here. So if I'm not here, usually she's here, and she could relay that information for you. Does that make sense? Right? So we want to be able to make sure that you get the best care possible, right, in emergency situations. So any medical conditions, if something arises throughout the semester, right, you find out that, you know, you're pregnant, let me know, right? So that we can let them know. Make sense? I've been pregnant in this lab, it's no big deal. Right? I think he's okay. All right, so we've signed a data and wrote all our important information. Now let's get to the really nitty-gritty microbiology stuff, which is on the back. So although we've eliminated all pathogenic organisms in this lab, we don't work with any known pathogens anymore. All microorganisms pose a serious health risk for some individuals. So again, this is where it's important that if you have a medical issue that you alert us to it. And if your doctor needs a list of what organisms we use in the lab, I can very easily provide that to you, right? So that they can assess the situation and decide if there's any additional precautions, things that you may need to do to protect yourself. And that's available to anybody. In fact, I'll put it together and I'll post it on campus. It's only about 8 organisms right now because we got rid of all the bad guys. So I haven't added in some new safer ones yet. I'm in the process this semester. So the list will actually expand this semester. Again, washing our hands, as you know, in general life, that's the best way of preventing spread of microorganisms and disease, right? So we'll wash our hands a lot. We do provide gloves for you, right? And they're the proper type of gloves for the proper type of work that we do. That's why we don't make you buy your own gloves, because we need to make sure you have the correct type of gloves. They're non-latex gloves, so there's no worry about allergy. You're required to wear your disposable lab coat, right? And this starts week 3. So you will purchase it, you will bring it into the lab, you'll have a storage bag that you keep it in with your name on it, along with your safety glasses. Any pen, right, starting next week, any pens you bring into this lab and use in this lab cannot leave this lab, right? So if you want to use a particular pen, then it's going to be your lab pen and it goes in your lab bag that's kept in the lab, right? Or you can take from the cup, right, each lab period, or you can take one from the cup and put it in your bag and that's yours for the whole lab period, right? You can spray isopropyl alcohol on it if you want before you acquire it as your very own, right? I have colored pencils for you guys. We have pencils, we have calculators. You have no reason to bring anything personal into this lab and have it leave. There was an outbreak nationwide of salmonella from teaching labs like this one, from people bringing pens in and contaminating them, bringing them out and contaminating others. Right? You guys need to learn proper protocol, even though we're not working with pathogens like salmonella. Right? You need to learn how to work in a microbiology lab. So when you go out in the real world and you work with the real stuff that you will, you know what you should do. So as I said, the long pants, I'm not going to see skin on your legs from now on. You don't have to worry about the top half, right? Because you're going to be wearing a lab coat. And the lab coats go to your knees about. They're relatively long lab coats that you guys will purchase. They are disposable, right? If you do spill on it, microorganisms a large number, I'm going to have extras so that you can throw that one out, right? And put a new one on. But then you need to buy another one to replace the one that you spilled on. Make sense? I do have goggles, too. If you just don't want to buy safety glasses, I'll make you wear a pair of goggles. Any questions on any of that?
So we can wear the goggles instead?
Yeah, you can wear goggles. They fog up sometimes for some people if you're really warm-bodied. They have vents, but they still fog up. And once you put them on for lab, when we're doing lab work, you can't take them off until you've washed your hands, because you could contaminate them. I'll give you your own set you stick in your bag too, right? But students are, this is why we're switching from the goggles to the safety glasses, because students are always taking the goggles off because they're uncomfortable, right? And they're contaminating them when they do that. Gloved hands with microorganisms, and they're like, what did you just do? You don't even realize it, right? Because you guys are still learning, right? So you're not always consciously thinking about what's on your hands. Yes, yeah. And they should have a pair for you guys to try on. Like I said, if you guys want to walk over with me after class, I'm going to go check that out literally right after class. So they had a pair of goggles for people to try on, but they should also have a pair of safety glasses for you guys to see and try on. So, we ordered the larger ones so that they should fit over comfortably. The goggles and I know the lab coat is around $5. I know my students paid $11 for lab coat and goggles last semester, but again, we switched to the safety glasses, but he told me the price should be about the same. So $5-6 per item. We will give you 2 sheet protectors for putting your notes in, right? Because you're going to be following protocols, you're going to be writing out stuff, right? Notes on what you're going to do in lab. So to prevent it from getting contaminated with spills, I'll give you, each one of you have your own 2 sheet protectors to use throughout the semester that you can put your notes in on the lab bench so that if you spill or someone next to you spills, you don't lose all your notes. Make sense? Okay. So we've already talked about personal belongings, right? We're putting that in the closet. If you absolutely, and don't have a life-proof case that you feel comfortable spraying with Lysol, I will have a box of plastic baggies, and you can stick your phone in a plastic baggie, right? And you can use it during lab. If there's a liquid spill, right, and it's microorganisms we need to disinfect. We're going to put paper towels on it. We're going to spray it with Lysol. We're going to let it sit for 10 minutes. Those paper towels, when we have a spill, have to go in the spill bucket that's on top of that incubator. All other paper towels that we use for just general disinfecting and cleanup go in the regular trash, which is by the door. I do have a recycling bin in here for papers and such, but students were using it for paper towels, so I put it at the front of the room to keep you away from my bin. Paper towels don't go in there. They go in the regular trash. Again, never ever pick up glass, broken slides, broken test tubes with your hands, even if you have gloves on. We have dustpan at the front of the room on the top of that incubator, dustpan at the back of the room next to the eye wash station. Okay? I will assist you with this. The broken glass will go in the disposal. Okay? If it contained microorganisms, we're also going to need to disinfect that test tube before we can sweep it up. If any stain or reagent bottle is empty, students don't refill these, I do, let me know and I'll take care of it. When we do staining, stains can't go down the drain anymore, right? They contain hazardous chemicals, so they will go in those funnels in the sinks. Make sure that those containers for the liquid waste are not full before you start pouring it in, right? Give it a little shake, give it a little look. I usually try to remember to check those before lab and make sure that they've been emptied and replaced. You'll notice that there are orange buckets there and an orange bucket in the back. Those are for your gloves. Gloves don't go in the regular trash, right? Technically in this lab, right, we could put it in the regular trash because we're not working with pathogens, but I want you guys to get in the habit of what you would do in a real lab, right? In a real lab, it would go in a biohazard bin, right? So we're going to put them in our plastic bins so that you guys can practice this technique. We're also going to learn the proper way to remove gloves, contaminated gloves. So I have a video on that, and we'll go over that when we actually start using gloves so that it sticks with you guys. But I have videos in this PowerPoint, and I'll post them on Canvas to help you guys with that as well. Always carry test tubes in a rack, and I will demonstrate that in a moment. Because again, they're made out of what? Glass. If you don't carry it in a rack and you lose your grip, it falls on the floor, it breaks, right? And if you're not wearing proper protective gear, then you end up with cuts. And we don't want that. We're going to teach you the proper way of using the Bunsen burners. The Bunsen burners will be out week 3, and they'll stay on the lab benches all throughout the semester, right? Instead of having to take them out and put them back in and readjust them and all that oopa. So we'll just clean around them once we start working with them. Serological pipettes, I have one sticking in my beaker I can't reach right now. We never ever pipette or use them like a straw, right? We have pipette aids, and hopefully we'll also be using micropipetters. So I have videos on all of that as well, and we'll go over that when we use those particular instruments. It's suggested that you don't wear mascara in this lab. Because again, when we're working under the microscope, you don't have to wear your safety glasses, by the way. Maybe if you put your mascara on, you might want to still wear your safety glasses. But with your safety glasses, you're not going to want mascara on either, depending on how they fit and how long your lashes are. And the reasoning for that is that most beginning students get too close to the oculars, and they blink, and they get mascara on the lenses, right? And then you have to clean the lens because you can't see anything. And you spend half your lab cleaning your lenses instead of looking at your slides. You're all very beautiful, and I'm not lying. You don't need mascara. Skip it on lab day. If you absolutely have to have it, stick it in your bag and put it on after class, right? Save yourself some time and anguish in this lab. You'll have your very own microscope, right? But you do share it with other sections too. So I will hear about it if you leave it dirty. Right? If you leave it dirty after the first warning, you actually won't have a microscope anymore, at least not the good ones. I'll make you use the crappy microscopes. Or I might say, I guess maybe you're going to Amazon to buy you a microscope because you can't clean up after yourself. I'm just kidding, y'all.
Oh.
But seriously, clean your microscopes, because you're going to be pissed when you take out these microscopes because other students before you did not clean. Right? Before I took over the labs, they didn't clean, instructors didn't check, and so 90% of the high dry objectives are useless pieces of crap that are still attached to your microscope. You cannot see through them. They're all blurry because students didn't follow directions, they used oil at high dry, and they didn't clean up. So every single one of them, the oil has creeped in, and they're permanently blurry. They're trashed. I'm not buying new ones because we don't need them for microbiology. And I'm leaving them on the microscopes because the other instructor wanted me to leave them on. And I agree with him. Students need to learn how to follow instructions and clean up after themselves. Right? In a real research lab, you get fired. All right, so I'm going to go over the location of all of these things. Anyone wear contact lenses? Awesome. All right. It suggests that you don't, because if you do get something in your eye, it traps it on your eye if you're wearing contact lenses. Right? So we suggest that you don't do so, but we do ask that you notify us if you do, so that, again, if you get something in your eyes, we can let emergency personnel know that there's a complication. We can't be held liable. We told you not to do it. Or we suggested highly that you do not do it. So everyone should have put their information, and on this page hopefully also wrote their name on this back page, because I'm going to put the back page first. The next thing we're going to go over before I do the tour of the room is the STS sheet. This is a separate handout. The very first page you're going to need to hand it to me, so you can go ahead and rip that off. And it also makes it easier to write down the information you need to write from the safety data sheet. So these used to be called MSDS sheets because they stands for Material Safety Data Sheets. Now they're just referred to as safety data sheets. We have one for every single chemical we use in the lab. You'll see our binder there. Unlike most binders, it's not bright yellow. It's a black binder. Right, but it's right at the front of the room, and it's still labeled MSDS, right? We haven't converted it over to just the SDS. But these contain important information that you need to know, and we're probably going to incorporate this into just about every lab, so you guys know what we're working with. I'll make these available to you guys online as well, but they have to be available in the lab for you to look at as well. So if you have questions about any chemicals, you can look at that and you can ask me questions about it. We've already pre-marked all the ones that are hazardous in our binder. So you'll notice there's little tabs in our binder. So there's little quick symbols they put on chemicals and things nowadays so that people know by looking at the pictogram what they need to look out for. So Unfortunately, the pictograms in the handout that you were given, you can see the pictures, but you can't read the descriptions. So here you can read the descriptions, although some of the pictures are kind of small. I haven't found the perfect one yet. I didn't put together this packet, though, that you guys have. So what are the ones that we have for the chemical that you have in front of you? First of all, what is the chemical? Grams iodine. Are we going to use that? Of course. We're not going to give you one for something we're not going to use. Yes, we are going to use grams iodine. Does anybody have an iodine allergy? Okay. Again, you're going to usually be wearing gloves, so if you do have an allergy to it, you should be able to avoid that. So what pictograms do we see? What's that first one? Corrosion, right? So it is a corrosive. What's the next one? Exclamation mark. This basically means stop, right? What is this, right? This is something that could potentially be harmful, right? It could be a skin or eye irritant, which iodine can be for some people. It could be toxic, which is not the case for iodine. It could cause respiratory issues, which in large concentrations iodine can. It could be hazardous to the ozone layer. That one's not mandatory to report, though. It could have narcotic effects, right? So this is like, okay, if it has this symbol, I need to investigate this further, right? This could harm me. I need to be cautious, right? And what's the second one? Environmental, right? So this is one of those ones, right? It's, of course, not mandatory, but, we're getting to that where we're trying to be more environmentally cautious. So again, that's a stain that we're going to use, so it's going to go where? Into the flasks, right? That's our waste disposal, hazardous waste disposal containers. Some other ones you'll run across is health hazards, right? These are pretty scary. The skull and crossbones is the scariest, right? This is extremely toxic or fatal. We don't have any of those in this lab, thankfully. I've worked in labs with them, though. And of course, we do have some environmental, the one we're looking at today. We are going to work with quite a few that are going to be corrosive, quite a few that have exclamation points, quite a few that could be flammable, right? So we need to be careful because we use the Bunsen burners. The flame with the circle over it, these are oxidizers, right? So we need to be careful with those. I don't think we have any of those. As I said, for the most part, we're dealing with flammable, right? Irritants, for the most part, corrosives, and environmentally damaging substances. Nothing explosive.
What's the difference between oxidizer and flammable?
It's a good question that I don't know the answer to.
Is it flammable if it's an oxidizer? Is that why there's a flame on it?
Yeah, I think oxidizers can ignite or cause things to ignite.
So just look at the picture.
Yeah, well, if you see the picture, then you don't stop there, right? If you see any of these pictures, you're going to read the sheet and figure out, well, what do I need to worry about, right? Which is the next thing on our thing. It says, let's read what? For our little checklist. Section 4. And what does Section 4 say for the one that, I don't have it up here, y'all, because it wasn't given to me ahead of time. Right. It's the first aid, isn't it? Right. So what do I do if I goofed with this, right? So can I steal yours for a minute? I forgot to grab one. Okay. So first aid. So inhalation, in case of inhalation, remove carefully to fresh air and keep at rest, right? So you would remove, this is you they're talking about, right? You would remove yourself from the area where maybe a large spill happened, which is not going to happen in this lab because we work with small quantities. You would leave the lab, right? You'd go out in the hallway, you would sit out in the hallway, get away from the fumes. If you get it in your eyes, you would rinse with water for several minutes, right? We have those saline bottles, right? Remove contact lenses if present and easy to do so. Continue rinsing. So again, we really need an eye wash station to truly be best. If contact with skin, wash with plenty of soap and water. Skin irritation or rash occurs, get medical advice / attention. Wash contaminated clothing before reuse. If swallowed, call poison control center or doctor/physician if you feel unwell. No one's going to do that, right? Okay, so then what's the next section we got to look at? So you just for number 2, you just need to write first aid, right? That section is first aid. What do you do first? I am trained in first aid. I haven't gone through my CPR yet, though. But that's why I pushed the button. Huh? Oh, the CPR? I haven't done it in forever. They're supposed to have training for us on campus, and it keeps getting rescheduled. I'm like, really? Yeah, kind of, sort of. I haven't had to use it, thank God, knock on wood. Yeah, no. I know, it's, Craig. Okay. I don't know that would help him. I forgot his name. I think it's Brian. Our medic that came, he carries the defibrillator, like, not like that, like the thingies, like the paddle. Yes, that thing. Sticks it on you. Yeah. And we have one down the hall, too, in the main hallway here. So, and apparently you push the button and it's idiot-proof. It tells you exactly what to do. So, they haven't trained us on that either because they said it was idiot-proof. All right, so what does it say you need to protect yourself against iodine? What would we put on this list of personal safety equipment? Goggles, gloves. In our case, we're going to wear a lab coat. Right. You're going to wear your lab coat all lab period starting the 3rd week. The entire time you're sitting in here. Okay, this is what I warned you guys about. No, it doesn't say on the worksheet that you guys have to write down what personal protective equipment you would need.
That's what it says.
Yeah. Oh, it's under that too? Yes. Yeah, that's the other stuff that you would need. So we don't have a shower in this room. They're making the room next to us into a lab, and it will have a shower. So right now, unfortunately, we don't have a shower.
So do I write it down or does it not matter?
No, we just need the personal protective equipment. So what would you personally have on your body to protect you? You would have your safety glasses, your lab coat, and your gloves. Okay, so now I'm going to do my room tour. Here are those videos that I mentioned, and again, they'll be posted on campus for you, as well as this PowerPoint's already on campus. So I'm going